You're tuned in to a Georgian College podcast, brought to you by the School of Computer Studies.
Alright, so welcome back to our screencast. In this particular one, we will begin to do some coding in our JavaScript. Alright, so the place to start would be in Blackboard. In the folder, the Practical 2 assignment folder, in the assignment section of Blackboard, and there you'll find an item called Part 1 Sample Code. And the first one there is the template that you can use to begin the coding. You'll also see the code or the page that is my logo, and you can definitely look at the JavaScript there and learn from that. As well, I have created several different other sample code. One of them is the one that was discussed on Thursday, November 11, that I showed off, and then I show how a page with just triangles. So if you want to do some triangles are there. A page with just circles and arcs, and a page with basically free-form shapes. So you can take a look at those. But our starting point would be the template code, and to explain. And so if you click on that link there, it'll take you to this page. Once you're at this page, you can view source, and the view source, well, there's the HTML behind that page. And so what we want to do is we're going to copy that, and you're going to take it to whatever you use to do your HTML work. In my case, I use a basic text editor to do a lot of my my web work, my HTML work, and I'm going to paste it there. And there is the HTML behind that template page. Alright, so I'm going to save that. I'm going to create a folder for all my files in this project, and this will look a bit different for you if you're using Windows or using Linux. So but essentially I'm creating a folder, and I'm going to call my HTML file as superhero1.html, and you should as well. Please follow the instructions on where to place it on Web Design 3 and what to name it. So superhero1.html. Alright, so I've got that set up. I'm going to go back to this web page, and if you notice, at the bottom of the web page there is a view the JavaScript link and view the CSS link. So if I click on superhero1.js, this is my JavaScript page, or my JavaScript file, and I'm going to make a copy of that code, jump back to my my text editor, and again you could be using Dreamweaver or something else, and I'm just going to paste that there. And this is actually the code that we're going to be making changes to. Alright, I'm going to save it, and I'm going to save it as superhero1.js. Right, and might as well call it that, because the superhero1.html references the JavaScript as superhero1.js. Alright, got that saved. Now it's going to go for the CSS. Back up one, there's superhero1 CSS, and I'm going to make a copy of that. Back to my text editor. Right, so I made a copy of this and switched over to my text editor. Paste it in, and again I'm going to call it superhero1.css. Again, you should do that because the HTML does refer to the CSS as superhero1.css. You could make a change to that, but you'll have to change that in the HTML as well. Alright, so there we got it saved. Now I'm gonna make sure that I got it properly. I'm gonna go File, Open File, and there, here I'm right there where I saved it, and I'm gonna open up superhero1.html, and as you can see, I need to refresh this. Sorry, there we go. I had been playing around with it, but anyway, that's what you see, a blue square. All right, so let's take a look at the JavaScript right now, and as well later on you're going to have to change things in the HTML, right? So that you have your hero name, and you have, you're describing the hero in the paragraph. All right, so let's go to the JavaScript part. So it's JavaScript. Don't forget to put in the proper comments here in that section, and also comments in other places as well. All right. So what's in the JavaScript? So the first actual command in the JavaScript is a window.addEventListener load, which essentially tells the browser to do the function here when the load event has happened. That is, all of the browser, all of the web page is loaded into the browser. And when that happens, we will call this function called draw. And draw goes from this curly brace right here all the way to this curly brace right there. Okay, so that's all of the draw function. And essentially, this is the part that you will be changing. You can leave everything else as is. Just to explain some parts here, we are making a connection to the element called my canvas that's on the HTML. So I'm just going to go to the HTML here for a second, and notice that there is a canvas element that's been given the ID my canvas, and that's the one that we're referring to here. Okay. Next, we just want to make sure that the browser that we're using actually can display and work with a canvas. And so this is what this is. If canvas.getContext. If the browser you're using does not use canvas, like IE6 for example, then we don't want to run the program. Lastly, before we actually start sending commands to the canvas, we need to get its context. So we're setting up a variable called ctx. You can call it any name, really, just a variable name. So ctx gets the context from canvas. So we say canvas.getContext 2D. Right? But again, these parts here you can leave as is. You don't need to change that. It's really these things down here that you'll be working with. All right, so let me set up another color. For example, dark red. All right, so 200 on the red, 0 on the green, 0 on the blue. Notice black's here as well, 0, 0, 0. Alright, so the fill style sets the fill color that will be used with the rectangle. I'm just going to change that to the dark red that I just specified. I'm going to save that. And we'll reload right here. And notice that the blue has changed to a red. So how about we also change the height of the rectangle so it's half of what it is. I'm going to save that. So I kept the rectangle's top left corner the same, 100, 100, but I've changed the height. The width's 200, the height's 100. But notice I'm not changing this stroke rectangle here. So let's see what happens. So here we go. There we go. So we have a rectangle that is half filled in red. The other sort of look like it's filled in white, but really there's no fill in that section of the rectangle. All right, so now you have a starting JavaScript file. You should have an HTML file and a CSS file, and you can bring it up. You can open it up. All right, so we'll stop the screencast here for this part. At this point, we'll continue with the next one. In the next one, I'll show you how I built my logo, and used the code or the commands we were looking at from the third screencast. All right, so catch you a bit later.